Now, Kay, you've been living under a rock. Do you know anything about what's going on? Do you have any idea what's going on here at all?
I didn't know people watched women's basketball at all. Like, I'm just fascinated this is in the news. So
she's too busy chasing trains. That's what she's been doing.
That's true, yes. I went through 14 hours of torture, okay? Don't even get it.
All you had to do was follow the damn train, Kay.
So, Kay, let me give you a little background. There is a popular player in the WNBA named Sophie Cunningham. Okay, she happens to be a white girl.
Was this the one that like pointed and went viral for that?
Yes.
She was like,
yes.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
Right. Okay. And back in February, an ESPN reporter asked her about trans people and like women's sports, right? And she's like, and she gave the most common sense thing, saying, "I think women should play with women," and that portion of the interview was released like 3 weeks ago. So it's been months since that interview initially happened, okay? But now it's getting doled out, and it stirred up a bunch of controversy, okay? So all of a sudden, there was a domino effect. The next night, she's playing in Minnesota, and the coach has a Protect Trans Kids shirt on, right? And it's kind of like the WNBA is the wokest of all of the leagues, and it's all about justice and all this stuff. Well, fast forward to Friday, during our show, a former NBA player named Enes Kanter Freedom, who was actually kicked out of the league, not officially, but he played for a decade in the NBA, and then he went against the grain, and his cardinal sin was that, and I didn't do a good job explaining this the other day on Friday, but his cardinal sin was he spoke specifically about Nike and their child slave labor practices. And he specifically he did it against Michael Jordan when he owned part of the Charlotte Bobcats. And when he made this stance about child labor in Nike, somewhat like there are several players who are like, you're never going to get another contract after this. You're playing your last year. You're going to get out of here. And he's like, hey, it is what it is, And he apparently left between $40 and $50 million on the table for the rest of his, for being out of this. But he's a man of principle. So Enes Kanter, who has not played in the NBA in a half a decade, came out and announced that he was declaring for the WNBA draft. This is Enes Kanter here, okay? A 6'10", 250-pound son of a gun. This was him this morning, filing the paperwork.
Well, it's official. I just declared for the 2027 WNBA draft in April. Join me in this journey.
Enes Kanter Freedom decided he's going to throw his hat into the WNBA.
The WNBA does not ban men who identify as women right now from playing in the league.
He would dominate the WNBA without batting an eyelash.
The number one prospect in the history of the WNBA.
Let
That's
freedom
incredible.
play. Yes.
That's so good.
Now,
play their game. This is amazing.
Correct. So what happened actually as well is another former NBA player named Royce White, who was a star at Iowa State, got drafted very high by the Houston Rockets, had extreme anxiety over plane travel, and is now running for Senate, I believe, in Minnesota. Okay. He also declared to play for the WNBA. So there's two men who are like, hey, I'm in. Let's give it a go. What's funny here is that this lady just gives an absolute master class on what's wrong with the WNBA's stance. And I'm going to tell you, this lady is definitely, I'm going to say she's probably lesbian, but here we go.
Prior 6'8" NBA star and current candidate for Senate out of Minnesota, Royce White, says he's joining the WNBA in 2027. He's following the lead of Enes Kanter, who was the first to say, hey, as a man, I'm going to play in the WNBA, but this all started when Sophie Cunningham, the WNBA star, said, hey, men shouldn't play in women's sports. Due to the uproar from those statements, Enes and Royce said, okay, cool. If the WNBA says that men can play in women's sports, we're going to beat them at their own game, and we're going to play. In one statement, Royce said, I think the WNBA could come out and make a definitive statement about guys with a pair of balls playing in the Women's Association. He said, I'm declaring this is serious. I don't want to be discriminated against. I want fair treatment. I'm a young black man and hopefully United States Senator, and I want a fair chance. Royce says that if they don't let him play, he's going to sue. Royce continues on X, and he just keeps getting funnier. He says, I haven't even been publicly trans for 72 hours, and I'm already getting so much hate. I just want to hoop with my girls in the feminine era. Why can't y'all be happy for me? Trans people are set ablaze over this, and they just cannot believe that a 6'8" man would suddenly decide to identify as a woman and try to play in women's sports. Yeah, no, actually. That is actually a thing that trans people are upset about. They're coming out with statements such as, well, this isn't fair. Men can't just decide that they're women. The WNBA is now faced with a choice. They either honor their own policies of DEI and inclusion and let the boys play, Royce and Ennis, or they say, hey, we were wrong, boys can't actually play in women's sports. Trans people have hit the internet to say, what did we do to deserve this? We haven't hurt anyone. Well, you created this monster. You made this happen. You told us that we had to accept anyone and that if you say you're a boy, you're a boy. You told us that we had to let you play in women's sports. And now you're mad that we're doing the exact thing that you begged for. I hope that Royce does play to note the hypocrisy of it all. And if he doesn't get to play, I hope that he sues. I hope it goes all the way to the Supreme Court because we're going to make an excellent point here. Anyway, you can vote for Royce in the primary in Minnesota on August 11th.
So there you go. I live for donuts. Give her a follow.
That is wonderful. Let's play their game. Let's make it. Yeah, why not? Oh, now it's a problem. Men choosing to be women? No way. How could they do that?
Can you imagine if this happens, the number, like, for the first time I will be watching a WNBA game. I think the best part is that the ratings are going to be so high, it's going to be hard for them not to let it to continue until it's just basically all men playing again.
It'd be really funny if every single player got replaced with, like, a former NBA, like, male. And it just slowly trickles down until that. It's just NBA 2.
So here is there actually is an NBA 2. There's something called the NBA G League, which was originally called the NBA D League for Development League. But now it's called the NBA G League because Gatorade is their sponsor. Okay,
so it's pretty much NXT by the sounds of it.
Yeah.
Right. Now, here is the thing about this. And I saw this over the weekend, and I'm going to tell you this. This makes perfect sense. The average salary for an NBA G League player is $45,000 a year. The average salary for a WNBA player is now $500,000 a year. If you are a fringe G League player, doesn't it make sense for you to say, I think I'm feeling pretty feminine, and 10x your income immediately overnight?
It's going to be the transition league. Like, yeah, everyone should just transition from there. Why not?
The NBA T League is the transition league right there.
Yeah, exactly. Make your bag. That's hilarious.
Can I make an announcement that I, too, will be joining the WNBA league soon as well? I'm going to get my old shoes on, my old basketball shoes on, and hit the courts. I think we should do it. Why not?
I want it, like, similar to, like, the red carpet thing, you know? Like, I want you to go in there and just, like, yes, oh my God, girl.
Yeah, I'm ready. Put me in, coach.
It's amazing to see. And there are still people who are just so dug into this, like this woman right here, who, I mean, how broken do you have to be? Listen to this.
The truth is trans women are women, and so if they would like to play women's sports, then that would be something that they should do as women.
A few former NBA first-round picks came out yesterday and declared for the WNBA draft. Are you supportive of them?
Yeah, so if they truly were trans, then I would be perhaps supportive of them, but they're not.
Who determines who's really a woman, though?
I would say I would love to see them play against Asia Wilson and beat her. I doubt they would.
Every time.
Thank you so much.
And look how she walks off because she knows she's beaten. This look right here, this look.
But they're not.
Who determines who's really a woman, though?
That one.
This one right here. I have no counter argument for your statement, and now I'm going to look at you with like I have no idea what you're talking about right here.
It's so interesting because that look is, come on, this is common sense. But then whenever we give the come on, this is common sense back to him, it's like, oh, no, you're just a bigot, you're crazy. It's like you are giving the exact look we give you when you say protect trans youth and protect all trans women are women. Like it's the same look we're giving you.
Correct.
Well, I want to go one step further with them. Like, okay, like let them start getting authoritarian. Okay, then how do we do? Okay, you just go along with their point. Okay, how do we test for that? How do we test for someone that is truly trans? Is it a questionnaire? Is it science? Help me out here.
It's a midichlorian test. That's how we have to see their level of midichlorians to know.
Exactly. So it's just like so I would just, instead of what that guy did, go with them, go on their little journey and walk us down how you solve this thing. And they're not going to have a solution. It's like, okay, well then can you understand until you come up with some testing system? And by the way, you want to test to see, you want to make a test now to see if someone's really a woman, which is very, very bad in your little team over there. But anyway, until you come up with some kind of system, then we have to therefore let these people come in, correct? I mean, because you don't have a solution, what do we do? That's what I'd love to see them answer. And you'll see those math numbers just coming into their faces as they're trying to compute that, you know what I mean? That little meme.
Well, that's what we just saw, yeah.
Yeah.
That face is the face where they know where the argument is about to end. Because as soon as they have to define what a woman is, that is where they lose. Because the entire crux of the argument, and I've been, every now and again, I see through the algorithms, old videos of even Charlie Kirk getting asked this question too. What is a woman? And you can never, ever define it, because the second you define what a woman is, their entire argument will come crashing down every single time.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that, because the WNBA now is actually in the process of trying to figure out what an actual woman is. This is something that they are discussing internally, keeping in mind that this is the WNBA with women, and they actually are effectively, they nicknamed themselves the W, for the women, right? When they're talking about it on ESPN, they say the W. This is what's going on with them right now.
Who exactly is eligible to compete?
I'm just having a blast in my feminine era. I never thought that I was a woman. You know, I've always trusted the science, and I thought I was a man my entire life. But, you know, after further review, I look strong.
After further review.
And there was a memo from the WNBA commissioner that was sent out to teams on Friday saying that a task force that's made up of groups, presidents and general managers, they're going to meet next week to discuss the issue, as there are growing questions about whether the league needs to clarify that eligibility and update it, Bill.
Okay, all right, Brooke, thanks. Brooke.
So they're actually getting people together to have an actual discussion about this in the WNBA. That is where we're at in society, where the Women's National Basketball Association has to get together a group of experts to have a discussion about what a woman is and how to determine eligibility of an actual woman.
I want so many men to start flooding them for recruitment, and then sue if they're denied. Everyone sue. Just litigate constantly. Bring them down.
Yeah. And you know what's going to happen? The NBA, who's been literally funding this league for 30 years, they're going to say enough. They're going to go, we don't need this anymore. You know, we were all about bringing the women up, and here we are. You know, you have brought it all down with your insane ideology. And what's amazing about this is the WNBA has said they don't want to be used as political pawns. Where in the past, going back to 2020, they had their BLM, they had their names of people who had been shot on their T-shirts. They're the ones with the fist up. They literally are a political organization. And now, no, we're not going to do that now. No, not when you call us on our crap here. But it went even further. This is Sophie Cunningham over the weekend. They had a game against the Chicago Sky. This is the girl who initially said girls should play with girls. Did you see this play over the weekend? Anybody?
Yes. Basically, like puts the arm around her neck, I think, right?
Here it is. She goes up for a layup.
Face coming down, trying to prevent the layup, but that is just...
Are you serious?
She got whacked across the face.
Yeah.
Ended up bleeding. Got up, obviously heated. Got up in the girl's face. The girl who did this, Her name was Dejana
Just call her
Carrington.
mustard.
DiGiorno?
Yeah, it's just mustard.
After she clotheslines her, goes to the locker room, gets on social media, and Kay, I'm not kidding, tweets out white privilege.
Yeah, and that's exactly what a stick of shit with a blonde wig on would say. Like, we're enough.
Isn't she cultural appropriation because she's pretending that she's white or whatever because she's literally
yes, that's my point.
Blonde hair. It's so stupid.
You can't take my weave, but I can take your blonde hair, bitch. White privilege.
Oh, I thought she was just pretending to be a Gongoro girl.
See what I would do as God King Emperor. And this is like on a scale of 1 to 10. It's like a 0.00001 of what we could do. But like, I would just like get my own team guy of the thuggiest guys you've ever. I mean, thugs, right? And all they do is, as soon as they get on the field, they pile drive and deck every woman there. Every one of them. You put them out of commission, break their jaws, you name it. And then they go up, okay, we'll take our little penalty, we'll go off. And you just keep breaking these faces constantly. You don't ever try to win. You don't do any of this shit. You just see them cower in fear every time they get on that court of, oh, God, we're going to the ER for the next 6 months. That's what I would do, and it would be a lot of fun. Well, what do we think?
Maybe you should be part owner of the Nashville Balls, the new expansion team coming to the WNBA. This is not real, but this guy Clay Travis has offered to buy an expansion WNBA team called the Nashville Balls, and he wants to have an entire team made up of men as women, and he's like, it'll be a dynasty. We'll never lose a game, and he's probably right. In that instance,
it's like the Daily Wire's Lady Ballers now. It's basically just come to reality at this point.
It's Joanna Mann. That's exactly what it is. 100%. Now, what's interesting about this is that Sports Illustrated chimed in on this. And I'll tell you this was pretty interesting to see their headline. You saw Sophie Cunningham get clubbed across the face here. And this was the headline that Sports Illustrated first put out. Sophie Cunningham got a bitter taste of karma after drawing flagrant foul in Fever Sky. Now, I'm going to tell you this right now. What do you think the writer of this looked like? Well, I'd like to introduce you to Kristen Wong.
Oh,
good Lord. Good Lord.
Hey, yeah, they later. There you go, right? Another tweet from Clay Travis about this. And people, like, we talk about how bad the video game space is when it comes to just how broken. You would think that sports driven around testosterone, manliness, camaraderie would be a fairly masculine media. Totally incorrect. It is the most wimpy, beta, soy boys, never had a chance to make it journalists you'll ever see. This is from Clay Travis. This is from the new Direct Sports Editors of America statement on trans sports. Sports media is broken. This is what it is. They said, we are journalists. Words matter. Accuracy matter. Humanity matters. So let's be clear. Transgender boys are boys. Transgender men are men. Transgender girls are girls. Transgender women are women. Their lives are not a sidebar. Their stories are sports stories. This is coming from the Sports Editors of America. Here.
Accuracy matters coming from journalists. It's rich. It's so rich.
Yeah. It's amazing to see. Now, this is such a non-issue, and it should not be something that we're talking about. Like, let's just be real. Everybody in society knows this. Everybody in society knows this. And if you don't think it, then you're fooling yourself. You're playing mental gymnastics. You're giving that look that girl gave, and then you're walking away, right? But Newsmax went out to Rucker Park in New York City to ask people about this. Now, you guys know Rucker Park is like the basketball mecca. This is this is like in the hood, right? Where everybody goes to play. This is the top pickup games in America. They went out to ask
that
people
guy.
Oh boy. right. Let's see how this went.
Biological men to compete against the women. But here at Rucker Park in Harlem, common sense has home court advantage. Sophie Cunningham came out, she said she's protecting young girls. She doesn't want biological men competing in women's basketball and women's sports. Do you agree?
Yeah, I think women's sports for women's sports, men's sports for men's sports.
She's a role model that I would like to see. I wouldn't mind my daughter getting behind.
It would be physically unfair for women to compete against men.
Of course, it would be a problem to have somebody that was born
Is that Jay-Z on Ozempic?
Right. But look, all these people, including Jay-Z on Ozempic, agree. This is such a stupid issue. But the fact that we're even at this point says so much. But I love that this is being pushed. And anytime, my favorite thing to watch is people who are like, Enes Kanter and Royce White, what a bunch of idiots. They're just a bunch of men grifting. And then the immediate response is, you're so transphobic. Your transphobia is showing. And because you're just using their own words against them. And I'm very anxious to see this play out. This is going to be very interesting.
Well, I am an accelerationist, so I can't wait.
Yeah, exactly. Do you think they have a path out of this? Like, what is the... There's got to be some kind of loophole they can push through, and the WNBA maybe gets out of this.
I got one.
What is it?
I thought about it. The thing that I would do, what I think they're going to try and do, I don't know how they do it legally. It's actually going to come down to a political affiliation. If you had like a record of quote unquote hate, like we don't have a place for that, right? It's almost like looking at a track record of what you've done in the past, and we've got posts about you putting down transgender or whatever the hell it is. To me, that's the only way they get around this, because you can't define a woman. If they do that, as Craig had mentioned, you upset your base. So you can't do that. So it's got to come down to some kind of politics somehow. That's the only answer I see.
So if you do that, if you say we don't allow hate, then you literally need to get rid of half of your league, because there's been that Dejana whatever lady. There's a video of her when she was out talking about white man this, white man that, and it's extremely racist. So if you're going to have that bar, okay, guess what? Half your league's out. Congratulations. And so if the bar is quote unquote hate, that's a very messy bar. I think what happens is they do something that the WTA, which is the Women's Tennis Association or World Tennis Association, does with their women's group. And they have a little test which is less intrusive than the COVID test. They swab the mouth and they test for a gene, and the gene is tied to the women chromosomes. That's it. And if it says,
but if they do that, you think they're going to do that?
Well, I think that's the only way out. But yes, if they do that, you're right. That blows up their entire narrative.
Yeah.
But that's the only way that they can do it. But
I don't see them doing it. I don't think they're going to do that.
I think they're on their way out, man. I think they're on their way out. I really do. Like, I think this at a certain point, the NBA goes, we got enough, y'all. If anybody wants to buy the WNBA and whatever and rebrand it, okay, that's fine. But here's the thing: the WNBA, one of their franchises is worth $1 billion. Like the San Francisco franchise is worth $1 billion. These are high value things, and it's all built. The reason why WNBA has grown so much in the last couple of years has to do with one player, Caitlin Clark. She was the hot shot a few years ago. She's in her third year. Her by herself, she has Jordaned this league to relevancy, to where the NBA was struggling in the 80s, drug problems and stuff. Michael Jordan comes in. He's the new young star. Indiana Fever games, the games that she plays in, double the ratings of every other game. And just by her, she has lifted the tide of the entire league just from her involvement. If she left the league and she started her own league with Sophie Cunningham and several other players, even if she didn't just start a league, if she went over to Europe, that whatever league she's in would be the most popular league in the world. She doesn't need the WNBA. The WNBA needs Caitlin Clark. And Sophie Cunningham has become popular not because she's, attractive, right? Not because she's Barbie, but because she's actually an enforcer in the league. She stood up for Caitlin Clark. That's how she has become more popular, because when Caitlin Clark's been bullied, Sophie Cunningham's been like, no, that ain't going to fly. That's where that meme came from initially, Kay. So that is why Sophie Cunningham has become so popular, is because she's been protecting Caitlin Clark and the bullies that have been attacking her, which brings up this entire racial dynamic, which people don't want to talk about, but it's very obvious that if for anybody who's watching it. So, I've said this before, I've said it again. The most racist experience I ever had was when I was playing slam ball. I went to the hood to go play in Compton. I played in a YMCA or rec league, whatever it is down there. Played for 3 hours. I got called the worst things I've ever been called in my life. I got the shit kicked out of me for 3 hours by these black dudes who just didn't want to respect me because I was white. I left with scars, left with a bloody nose, left with bruises on my body. Was called everything that I could possibly be called, and it was because I was white.
Isn't it interesting? You can't be racist towards white people, but you've literally experienced racism towards white people to a point of getting physically assaulted. And people will still look you in the eyes and say, oh, because of your privilege, that's not a thing. That's insane to me. I'm sorry that happened to you.
Yeah. It was a learning experience, It's one of those things that you walk in, you walk into the lion's den and you're going to get bit. That's the reality of it. So, you can be hopeful for something like that, but it is what it is. So, all right. So the WNBA is a mess, and I say it's not going to go anywhere. I say it's on its way out, but it's not. It's going to be around, and it's just a matter of if the NBA wants to continue to subsidize it, and still, they're on their way to making money, but it's been 30 freaking years, and they have this godsend, Caitlin Clark, that has lifted up their entire league, and I've never seen a league that wants to self-destruct more than that. So, do
you think this could be a cultural turning point? Like, I'll give you a quick example. Let's say they do exactly as you say, that they actually test to see if you are really a woman, and right now you're going to get a bunch of pitchforks, right, for trans rights, right, and if the WNBA ignores that, and you see how really insignificant this tiny little voice is when a corporation is standing their ground, they have to, and you see nothing really comes to that. Do you think culturally this could be a big change where people start saying, hey, you know what, it's time to ignore that voice, it's tiny, it doesn't do anything, and our ratings, everything goes through the roof when we just ignore them? Do you think that's possible, or do you think it's just going to continue as it's going to continue?
I think that this is an issue that is talked about across every mainstream outlet over the last couple days, right? It depends on the slant that you have. CNN will continue to call Enes Kanter and Royce White men, and Fox News will play up the idea of them being women, right? And say how brave they are, but I think it depends on how the WNBA responds 100%. If the WNBA...
I'm saying if they do it, if they test, right? That's this is like the setup of this question. They go, all right, well, you do have to test women. That's it. And it's a women's league, right? So who better to fight this fight now? It is women. It's not the white man. It's the women. So they say, no, you have the picketers, you get the pitchforks. They ignore it. Does that change culture? Because they are now showing we can ignore them and move on.
No, because I think what happens is it gives more ammunition to the crazy leftists in Portland, Seattle, and they say, you forced us to make this decision. We have to fight harder. And while, yes, this is common sense to 90% of America, 90% of the world, 99% of the world, this in certain markets in a league that is so driven by politics, I think it gives them more ammunition. And then all of a sudden you see, let's say that happens, more coaches are wearing their trans kids shirts and stuff like that. And it just becomes more of a cultural spark for these folks. And it's exhausting, but I'll tell you this, man, if they do not at least bring Enes Kanter and Royce White to a training camp to try out, you have a 6'10" person, women, man, anywhere in between. Hey, you need to bring them in. You give them a shot. I don't care if they're a man or woman. And to kind of further that even home, the WNBA in their guidelines says the league is for women, right? But it doesn't define what it is. Furthering this home even further, there was a lady who played for them several years ago who identified as non-binary. So in theory, if they allowed her to play with no checks, they should absolutely do the same with Enes Kanter and Royce White. They could simply, instead of being trans, they could just say, I'm non-binary. Because that lady already broke the rules of not being a lady or not being a woman. She was non-binary. So, and they, by the way, she was celebrated for this. So Enes Kanter, complete with crazy beard and mustache, and Royce White with his, crazy beard as well. They should be celebrated. They don't need to be trans. They need to be non-binary. There's already precedent set for this.
Right.
So, yeah, it's amazing.
Well,
to
I will
see,
say, in conclusion, I am looking for great basketball stars for the Phoenix Bruisers. If you know someone that has a jail record that spans 30 pages, let me know.